Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Steve Kium, and I'm the franchise owner for Action Coach in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm your host today of the Business Spotlight podcast. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce Jeff Landsman, the co-founder of Specialty Food Sales and Consulting, as my guest. Today, we're going to talk about Jeff's business and his journey into business ownership, challenges, best practices, share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop a new show just like this. So Jeff, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today. And if you would, please give us a little bit of background about who you are and a little bit about your business.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Jeff Landsman, and I always like to tell people I'm a food guy. I've been in the food business. I'm third generation in the food business. I always like to make a joke that I'm the only Jewish boy whose parents talked him out of being a doctor. My dad was one of the pioneers in the frozen food industry, and he expected me to follow in his footsteps, which I did, and I have, working in a vertically integrated food business in New York. We were in the frozen fruit and refrigerated fruit business. We processed fruits, we imported fruits, and we sold essentially to the food service, retail, and industrial markets. My current business I founded after a number of years, and I guess I'll just cut to the immediate business. Having been in many different levels of the food industry, I moved down to Maryland in 1981 and immediately started as a food distributor, working for a company that was pretty much unknown in those days. The product was called Haagen-Dazs. And by doing that, I got to know all of the supermarket chains in this market, in this area. And I built up that business. I was an employee at the time. It was my first real job, not for my family. And I became essentially self-employed a few years later, operating as a broker, and then transitioning from broker to consultant because I was getting tired of traveling around the country, which I had been doing at that point. I had a family, and I liked coming home to my family rather than being a road warrior. And I had that consulting business until about 2004, when my oldest son, till 2002. And when my oldest son graduated college, he said he wanted to go into the real estate business and would I like to join him? And I said, sure, why not? And I thought I'd work part-time, and I'd do my consulting business and real estate business. And I had just had my third child at the age of 50 years old. And I figured I'd spend a little bit more time with this child than the other two as I was growing my business. I didn't really have a lot of time back in those days. So 2 years went by, and all of a sudden I was working two full-time jobs, spending less time with my youngest son. And I said, okay, well, one of these two have to change. And I said, well, I'm going to go with the new. And I went full-time into the real estate business with my oldest son. Unfortunately, 2007 hit, financial crisis,
Yeah.
and nobody knew it was going to last that long. We thought it would last a year or so, but by 2010, I had written all the checks that I could and spent all the money that I had, and I had no more money for the real estate business. And the real estate business is 100% money business. So I went to my son and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go back to the only thing that I know, which is the food industry. And I started specialty food sales because in 2010, I saw the growth of the specialty food business. While I had always had my fingers in it, uh, and the specialty food business was always sort of percolating. It went to full boil pretty much in 2010, and said, I'm only going to do specialty food products, no commodity items, no typical grocery items. And so I went into that business. Nobody knew me at that point. I had been out of the food sales business for 20 years, but it was in my blood and it's my passion. And so one of my philosophies is you got to do what you love. If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. It doesn't always mean that you're the most competent in that world, but if you're passionate about it, passion will generally help you succeed as long as you have what I think is a legitimate business plan. You might be in love with ice, but I don't think you'll ever be successful selling ice to Eskimos, uh, at least not one that can sustain. So it's been almost 16 years. About 10 years ago, I met a guy on a train platform going into DC, uh, who I sort of knew, but we became friendly. Uh, I guess on that train ride, going to what was then the fancy food show in Washington, D.C. And one thing led to the next, and I kept asking him to come and work with me, to become a partner with me. Eventually, I can't tell you exactly how many years later, but eventually he came to work with me, and he's now my business partner. Um, and we sell uh, exclusively specialty food products to the supermarket retail industry. We sell to all of the major retailers that are in the marketplace. We also sell to Dollar Tree, which is actually our largest customer. And we sell to retailers like TJ Maxx and Burlington Coat Factory because everybody buys food these days. And our basic approach to specialty foods is that specialty foods should be for everybody, that specialty foods should be more mainstream,
Mm.
and that when you segregate your products to apparently, for some people, to make them appear to be better or more gourmet, what you wind up doing is losing the eyeballs that go down the center aisle of supermarkets. And so that has always been our approach to mainstream uh, specialty food products.
What, just thinking about that, what makes you stand out from other people doing similar stuff?
Well, I guess a couple of things. Number one, and I didn't really bring up our consulting piece. What makes us different is that all of our background has been on both sides of the desk. My partner was a buyer for about 30 years for some major supermarket chains, including Walmart and Costco, and actually, um, yeah. And so, what makes us a little different is that we actually have bought and sold the product. We have produced the product. We have created the product. Um, and we've worked at all the different levels, both as a producer, as a distributor, for my partner in supermarket operations and retail operations. And that's all we've ever done. So we actually understand the business from the ground up. The other part is I think that because both of us have been in the business for over 50 years, we have the benefit of history and see how things have changed. And as the saying goes, if you don't look at history, you're going to repeat things.
Yeah.
Uh, and by seeing how history has changed the industry, we sort of have a window into the future.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. When you're talking to a customer, how do they see you and how do they see that strength?
So as a broker, we actually have two customers. We have the companies that we represent, and we
Hmm.
call clients, and then we have the retailers to whom we sell, and those
Hmm.
are customers. So there are two different conversations. One is to show our expertise and what our values are, because I think values are really, really important
Yep. Right. Right.
in any business, especially when you are going to a company and saying you want to represent them. And so I think, you want to be represented by people that you can relate to, that have common values and a common commercial approach to business. So when we're talking to our clients, we clearly explain to them what our background is.
Mm.
They invariably hear our approach and know that we really know what we're talking about
Hmm.
because of not just the length, but also the depth of our involvement in the in the industry. From a standpoint of retailers, um, retailers are looking at what our products are. The supermarket business, unfortunately, has really gone downhill. It's really been degraded. It's gone down to being essentially just a money business.
Mm.
But as the saying goes, you never want to fence with an expert. And so when we go to our customers, they know that we know the business. They know that we know the games that are being played. And so, they know we understand the rules of the road. And that gives them actually a lot of confidence that when we are coming and presenting a product to them, that it's going to be a product that, potentially has legs, a product that can fulfill all of the needs of that retailer because customers have needs. And if you can't fulfill the needs or make their job easier, because everybody, obviously, I mean, that's one of the first things we want to make your job easier when you buy from us. We don't want it to be, difficult to buy from us or to pull teeth, to get all the requirements that we have. So they know we're the experts in the industry, and more importantly, because we've been doing this for 16 years, our customers know us as the guys that bring unique products to them.
It sounds like your customers aren't shopping as much for price as they are for the convenience of knowing you can make it happen much easier, neater, with less time involved and less having to work through problems.
Yeah, well, one of the things we do with our clients is we vet them clearly.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes we say, you're not really ready for prime time yet,
Mm.
and that's sort of uh, how we go back to the consulting piece.
Hmm.
Very often, we say to them, listen, you really don't know what you're getting into. And I mean, I have a client right now that's in the importing Italian water,
Hmm.
really nice water that's very well known in Italy. But he doesn't have a clue uh, as to what is required in the supermarket retail food industry.
Hmm.
So, we have a seminar that we give, which I call Food Industry Boot Camp, and
Ah, okay.
it's exactly that. It's a boot camp, and I try to give them the benefit of my 50 years of experience in a full day.
Hmm.
And I find it extremely helpful because how do you know you want to get involved in something unless you really know about it? And unfortunately, the food industry has had, I always tell people celebrities used to be movie stars, but because of cable TV, chefs are the celebrities today. And everybody wants to be in the food industry. Everybody has a food product. And because of social media, everybody and anybody indeed can promote a product that they produce. Sometimes they make a big hit and they get money thrown at them, and or they get companies that want to support them or a celebrity that wants to support them. But like any business, if you don't have all of the tools in the right place to sustain you, you can be very successful and still go out of business.
Yep. Good, 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 good.
So this is what we try to avoid. And I just sort of I go back to some of my very earliest lessons, and the first one is the Boy Scouts: be prepared.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot that goes after that, what it is that needs to be prepared. But, whatever it is you have to do, you have to be prepared, which means you have to know the rules of the road. Not knowing the speed limit does not get you out of a speeding ticket.
Yeah, details.
Use. Understanding all of the requirements of your customers and of the industry are sometimes very painful. But if you don't put it into your P&L, if you don't put it into your budget, that will also put you out of business very quickly. So
Yes.
we're really out there not just selling product, not just identifying product, and in many cases, actually developing products. Again, that's our consultant's hat for some of our clients, but also preparing them for the industry so that when, and hopefully they are successful, they have the longevity that they need because they have all the tools.
So when they're buying from you, they're not just buying 6 dozen boxes of X product. They're buying the expertise you've got to make sure that product is actually the product that they want and it comes in the way that they need it, with the insights on all of the insights that they're going to need to make sure that there's no situation where they're going to have to send it back.
Well, okay, so from the customer standpoint, when I present a product to that customer, we have all the boxes checked.
Yep.
We know exactly what is needed, and that customer, that supermarket chain knows that we know what goes into it and that we have what is required. Uh, now, I will say the requirements have changed dramatically,
Oh, I'll bet.
and I would say they've changed in the last 10 years. Some supermarket chains, which I won't mention their name, require what's called a slotting allowance. And slotting allowance is essentially in their warehouse or in their supply chain's warehouse, there are slots for product where all the product goes. So when they are buying X brand, which is my competition as an example of, let's just say, ice cream, they know exactly how much they are selling of that product. Now, typically, a supermarket chain is not going to get rid of the bestseller. They're going to get rid of the lousiest, the slowest moving product to replace that item. But a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah.
So they go to the company that might be replacing that and say, look, we need money upfront, which we are calling slotting, to put you in that slot. Now, over the years, that has changed dramatically. And again, one of the larger retailers in our market, and by the way, our market is predominantly from North Carolina up to New England. That's
Mm-hmm.
our area of influence, as I like to call it. They want to charge $35,000 per SKU.
Wow.
So, as I said before, the supermarket business has gotten to be the money business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my my clients do not have $35,000 per SKU to pay anyone for the privilege of getting on their shelf.
Yeah, right, right, right. Yeah, got it.
So if you don't know how to talk the talk and walk the walk, and if you've not been there before, and if your opponent, who essentially is your customer in this case, knows that you don't know, they're going to tell you, the first thing you say to them, I don't have 35,000, they're going to say, bye. But we know how to address that. And
Hmm.
we know that it wasn't always that way.
Hmm.
In fact, when I got into the business, in that 20 years, as I said, that I had been out of the food business, that's when this slotting happened. It never existed prior. And 15, 16 years ago, when I started specialty food sales and consulting, it was just really starting. And the cost in those days perhaps was $5,000 per SKU.
Yeah, got it. Yeah,
$5,000 in 2010 is not $35,000 today.
right. Yeah,
So, maybe $5,000 in 2010 is what? 10,000,
yeah.
$12,000 today? I don't know exactly.
I don't think it's that much, but yeah, the point's the same.
And also why food costs have exploded because,
Yes.
because somebody's got to pay for that.
Yeah. Well, in the end, it's the consumer that's going to pay for that.
Right. So, again, to your initial question, when we're going to the customer, whether it's a supermarket chain or a food distributor, we pretty much know what their requirements are, whether they are reasonable or unreasonable, and we just give them our best shot. I like to tell people when they say to me, "Well, what's important to get on the shelf in a supermarket?" I said, "It's the four P's: it's product, it's price, it's promotion, and it's placement."
Hmm.
These are the four P's that are required to even be able to achieve success.
Yes.
Okay. But all of those, even if you comply with those four P's, meaning you have the right product
Hmm.
at the right price with the right promotional activities, because nothing happens in a vacuum,
Right.
and placement, meaning it's in the right part of the store. In other words, if you're selling cheese, you probably don't want to necessarily put it next to disinfectant. It's not going to sell. The merchandising has to be done correctly.
Yeah.
So when we go to those customers, we have all of those things um, according to what the market requires, as well as to the specific requirements of that supermarket distributor customer. And um, you know, I used to, when I was much younger, I used to say, if you can't baffle them with your brilliance, I mean, if you can't dazzle them with your brilliance, baffle them with your bullshit. But that doesn't go far really anymore because unfortunately, um, most of the people that are in the buyers that are in this business, the initial buyers, the lower level buyers, don't know what brilliance is because they haven't been in it long enough and they haven't, it's a job for them.
Check off the boxes.
Yeah, exactly. And so, that again, and I don't want to be that guy that says, oh, the good old days, because maybe the good old days weren't that good. But back in the day, there was never a buyer in a supermarket chain or a distributor that didn't work their way up from the store to the higher levels.
Mm. Yeah.
one in the grocery business that was in merchandising procurement had not spent time in the store learning the school of hard knocks. Even if they had, master's degrees, they still started in the stores. And most of the supermarket chains were started by, immigrants
Hmm.
who had a little grocery store in East BF, wherever.
Right, 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 right.
And again, I talked about history. If you don't know the history, you can't really appreciate the present.
Well, that actually is a good pivot to a question. What's the future look like? If you look out 5 or 10 years, what's the future look like?
Well, I'm 72 years old. And as I always like to tell everybody, I'm glad I only have to be doing this for another 20 years. Um, so um, I see number one. Well, so that's a loaded question. I see prices going up not just because of inflation. I see prices going up, and not just because of tariffs, although those are both good reasons to be going up. See it because of all of the inefficiencies
Ah, yes.
in the supermarkets. It's no different than, as I think you and I talked about the other day. We have more ways to communicate, but there's less communication.
Ah, funny about that.
The tools are out there, but people don't use them.
Right,
I
right.
think people have become sort of jilted to communication.
Good way to put it. Good way to put it.
So I see the, COVID progressed home delivery dramatically. And companies like Amazon buying Whole Foods has integrated the food industry to the online industry. And I think because of all of the social media, again, if I look at those P's that we talked about, the four P's, promotion has changed dramatically. You don't need to have
Mhm.
your product on TV. You don't need to have your product in a circular in the store. Or if you most of us who are probably over the age of 60 remember on the windows of supermarkets, sirloin steak on sale, and whatever brand of Aunt Jemima, which is no longer Aunt Jemima, Aunt Jemima, on sale. Well, you don't need to do that anymore. Now it's all social media. And in fact, I had a conversation with one of the senior buyers of one of our supermarket chains, one of our major supermarket chains, and she said to me, "You need to be active on TikTok and Instagram because there are a lot of products that have been developed that are heroes of sales are doing great in the markets, all because of Instagram and TikTok. It's no different than our pop stars, right? I mean, I can't think of his name because I don't watch that stuff, but you know, people have become famous online and then they get a contract. It's not everything has changed. The world is not the same, and if you if you rely on the old rules, you're a dinosaur. You're done.
What
So,
do you see as your most exciting opportunity in all of this?
well, I'm a purist. I'm a cook. I'm not a chef. I'm a cook. I'm a good cook. I'm a product developer, and what I find to be most exciting is the market today accepts products a lot quicker than they used to.
Hmm.
The paradigm has shifted dramatically over the years for new products.
Hmm.
And I can relate to that. As I said, I was one, I mean, selling Haagen-Dazs, which, changed the industry.
Hmm.
But I got to tell you, it wasn't so easy.
Mm.
It wasn't easy convincing people that that was the product du jour.
Mm-hmm.
And so today it's a lot easier. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Part of it is, I think, because people are more, and again, I'm in the food business, uh, people are more aware of food. People are more food intelligent today,
Mm-hmm.
again, because of the same reason that the chefs are celebrities. Um, I always like to say when I wrote my first presentation for specialty foods and consulting, especially food sales and consulting in 2010, I brought up the word kombucha. I said kombucha and words, and well, kombucha has only become popular really in the last 3 years, but now it's exploded. There's not a store that doesn't sell kombucha. So I think what's exciting to me is always the opportunity, A, to introduce people to new products,
Mm-hmm.
and to educate people into the food industry, into food in
Mm-hmm.
general, because new products create new awareness. So
And
that's my
new
most,
opportunities.
yeah. I mean, to me, that's the most exciting thing. And if you can make a living doing that, that's just great.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? Cool. If for some reason you were going to start your business over again today, what would you do differently?
I wouldn't do it. Again, I have the hindsight of 2020.
Yeah.
Um, the I would, well, number one, I would have stayed in my consulting business that I had, that I got out of in 2004, and I would have just pivoted. That's a COVID word. Uh, we didn't really think about pivoting. We thought more, rather pivot, we thought of paradigm, and
Yeah.
paradigm shift is rather difficult. Pivoting seems to be easy.
Yeah.
Uh, so I would have pivoted. Um, Knowing what I know today, the food broker, in the last 15 years, almost, I would say probably 90% of local and regional food brokers have disappeared. They have been acquired by the big guys, and there's only really a handful of uh, that control the industry. And in general, the food industry is, I mean, there's a lot of small players, but the food industry is still controlled by the large guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting larger and larger all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a shame because they control the shelves. And I can tell you horror stories, which are just reality. Um, I had an assistant years ago that had been what we call a category manager for one of the major supermarket chains, and she was the category manager for ice cream. So her job was managing the ice cream category in a major supermarket chain. And she said in the beginning of every year, Kraft, that had been very big back in those days in the ice cream business, they are no longer in the ice cream business, really, I don't believe. They had Seal Test, and they had Breyers, and a number of other brands that they controlled. And she said in the beginning of every year, they would give her a check for like $6 million, which was her marketing budget that she could spend as she wished. And they bought their way. I mean, again, well, I will tell you, in 1990, I worked with um, Kraft, which was owned at that time by Philip Morris. And in 1980, and this was in their their stock presentation, whatever you call that thing, in their portfolio. In those days, in 1989, 10 cents of every supermarket retail dollar was to a Philip Morris product. They owned 10% of the branded food retail market or the retail branded food market, however you want to talk about it. 10%. That's outrageous.
I was going to say that's an amazing number.
Right. Now, of course, some genius said, well, we don't like the name Kraft, so we're going to change it to Mondelez, which when they did that, I just laughed. And they made another company, of course. But, so I mean, when you get into it, some of the largest companies own double digit market percentage. So when you're a little company, and so they're, when you're a little company and they tell you, you got to give us for those 5 items that you want to put on the shelf, you have to pay us $180,000. You're like, man, if I could do $180,000 in sales, I'd be happy.
Yeah, right.
It's just it's answering both of your last two questions. I see the supermarket industry going more and more online. I think the generation, the 20-year-olds, they don't have one bit of compunction not to buy things online, get it delivered, which means merchandising is really becoming sort of an old legacy, an old skill, and now it becomes more of social media. And I would probably not go into this business. I would have stayed, like I said, in the consulting business because people always need help vis-a-vis what you do. But I would not go into it again. Be sort of like the guy that was selling horse and carriages.
I still sell them, just not as many to as many people.
Yeah, the car kind of messed up that business.
It did. It did. Yeah. Well, as we wrap up here, let's ask a few rapid fire questions.
Sure.
What's been the key to success for you?
The key to success for me has been number one, passion.
Mm,
I am very passionate about what I do. Number two, I believe authenticity, uh,
mm,
both in my approach to people and business, as well as my philosophy on the products that I sell,
mm, mm.
be authentic. Uh, and then I guess hard work. Uh,
Yeah.
my dad put me to work at the age of 4 years old, making boxes at the end of a production line. And when I was 16 years old and working for the summer, and I was at the end of the production line, I wasn't at that time making boxes anymore. I was weighing product and packaging and closing up boxes. And I sat down because I could sit down because the scale was at a lower level. And my father's production manager, who had been with him for 20 years, came behind me and kicked me in the butt and said, "You never sit down. Number one, you represent your father. Number two, being the owner of this company, which you will eventually be, you have to be an example." And I realized, and I've always been, no matter where I've worked, and I worked on a farm in Israel for 2 years, I was always the best employee, always the best laborer. And so I think hard work was also something it's just part of my DNA.
Good.
No, nothing in life is easy.
Got to earn it. Cool. If you and I were in a coffee shop and somebody walked in just starting up his business, what's one piece of advice you would share with them?
Make a business plan.
There's a good one. Yeah.
Uh, when I started this business, the business plan was up here.
Hmm.
I joined what do you call it? I can't think of the word. place where you go to start up businesses, a business incubator.
Incubator. Yeah.
An incubator, thank you. I went into an incubator, and the head of the incubator said, "Do you have a business plan?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Can I see it?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Why not?" I'm like, "It's up here." He goes, "Well, I need it on paper." And that the next day, I went to my office. I pulled up the SBA business plan format, and I wrote out in one day a 38-page business plan because it
Good.
definitely up here. And I presented it to them, and they asked me, they said, "Can you clarify this? Can you clarify that?" Yeah, no problem. And 2 days later, I had a fairly cohesive 38-page business plan. So
Excellent.
I would say that would be the first thing, because after being in business for, at that point, 34, 35 years, I had always done everything off the seat of my pants. And I realized that I dropped the ball by not having a business plan, having that checkoff list, which you literally, physically, it's just a really great thing to do.
It's an awesome focus point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. Good. What's one book you're reading now or read recently that's had impact on how you do your business?
So I hate to say it, I can't think of the name of the book. Uh, I didn't really pay attention to the name of the book, but it was a book about that was written by a guy who was in the food business, but he was also a sociologist.
Hmm.
So he had an MBA in marketing and a master's in sociology.
Ooh.
And the book, and it was given to me by the president of a very nice food company. Actually, the name of the company is Maya Kamal. They make Indian products, pretty well known in America. And the president and I were talking, and he said, "You got to read this book." And I bought it and I read it, and I was like, "Wow, this just opened up my mind." And it really, the first lesson was, and we're in what they call the CPG business. And he said the problem with most companies is they don't put enough emphasis on the C. They put more emphasis on the P, product. You got to put emphasis on your consumer. And,
Yes.
and not that I didn't know that, but it really opened up my eyes, and it sort of pulled back the drape, you know,
Yes.
and I saw the wizard, and that was
Yes.
quite helpful.
Yeah, that's an amazing learning. You don't really succeed until you learn that piece. That's a good one.
Well, and I've been a person, again, you asked me about you know, what has made me successful in this business, and the other thing which I didn't say, but it's part of this, is curiosity and an open
Mm,
mind, and the
mm,
desire and willingness and really the need to learn. Because I
hmm.
always tell people, if I didn't learn something today, it was a wasted day. People are like, "Well, what about if you sold product? And what about if you made money?" No, you know, uh, I, I did not go into this business with the goal of making money. Making money is the result of being passionate, of working hard, and loving what you do. And I find that execution, again, as a consultant, it's always, what are your deliverables?
Hmm.
Deliverables aren't for you to make money. Your deliverables are to help to succeed in what your task was with your client. So for me, it's always about really, executing on my ideas, learning all the time. And I always fight with people about what success is, and the definition of success. So, for me, it's not money. Money are the points that you put on the board because you won the tournament.
Good. 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 You've had a great journey in this business. What are you most proud of in the business?
I'm sorry.
What are you most proud of in your business?
I think I'm proud of a couple of things. I'm proud that I'm third generation in this business. That I guess that I didn't become a doctor, although I would have been a hell of a doctor. I'm proud of that. The fact, that I am known as an expert in this industry. I have consulted for the World Bank.
Hmm.
I literally consulted for a country that was
Hmm.
to create an industry within their country, and I consulted with them for them. I have I actually worked as a consultant in 1992 with Starbucks when they had 120 stores, had not yet been public, and I was engaged to help them open the East Coast.
Ah, very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
So, I guess I'm proud of being an expert, as being known as an expert by some people. I probably could do a better job promoting that. Maybe this will help a little bit. I work as a consultant to the USDA in the state of Maryland. They have a program called CAIC, which is an agricultural program, and so yeah, I guess I just love the industry. I love everything about it, and guess I'm proud that I'm still doing it.
If you could wave a magic wand and improve one area of your business, what would it be?
Um, I mean, I guess always looking to increase sales. Um, um, I guess that would be, that's sort of this, I guess, more of an obvious.
Hmm.
Um, there's a reason why on a P&L sales is the first thing. Um, um, so yeah, I guess I just would like to. And it's sort of a function of when you're in the business that I'm in the niche that I'm in, being successful or selling successfully is not as easy as selling a commodity item.
True.
Uh, and I was the first broker for a product back when I first started the business. I went out and I was looking for products, and I found a product online called Popcorners, which you may be familiar with the product, with the brand. It's now owned by Frito-Lay. And I built up that business from zero to $3.5 million in about 3 years. And it continued to be one of my largest lines. And I had the second largest customer in the United States. And then they got bought out by a couple of companies. But the second company that bought them out said, "Thank you, Jeff. We don't need you. We have our
Yeah.
own infrastructure." And I understood that. But when you have built up a business for 12 years that's doing $3.5 million and you're getting paid a 5% commission, it's sort of hard to walk away from that. And
Yeah, right.
it was very painful getting my last check. But now we were doing 75 in total, the company, we were doing about $75 million a year when they got acquired. And now it's a $450 million brand by Frito-Lay,
Wow.
which is not big enough for Frito-Lay.
Right.
Wants $1 billion brands,
Yeah.
as do all of the large food companies. They only want $1 billion brands, and
Yeah.
that's what they'll tell you that we're looking for $1 billion brands.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Can Halo Top be $1 billion brand? I mean, that's sort of the way they look at it.
Yeah. So when you're talking to George, who's just come out with his brand new barbecue sauce last month, that's going to be a long journey.
Yeah, well, barbecue sauce is one of those items that I don't ever represent.
Yeah, yeah, I would.
I
Cool.
don't,
Cool.
also don't represent olive oil.
Yeah, there's another one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So most important question.
Yeah.
How can people who want to know more get in touch with you?
They can just pick up the phone and call me. It's the old technology. I love this thing. As you can obviously tell, I'm quite glib and vociferous. And sometimes I do. I know I talk too much, but I also feel like I have a lot to say, and I'm not spewing garbage. I spew a lot of facts.
Hmm.
And I very often go with a stream of consciousness. But I always tell people I go that way, but I always wind up where I started. I always answer the question. It just sometimes is somewhat circuitous.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how they can get in touch with me. Pick up the phone and call me. They can go on our website, which we have specialtyfoodconsulting.com, and as well as specialty-food-sales.com. But if they put in specialty food sales and Maryland, our website comes up right on the top. Yeah, and I think we're usually on the first page anyway. But Jeff Landsman, and my phone number 410-984-8666. I love
And
talking and try to
fantastic.
and sometimes try to talk people out of doing what they think they want to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's most inspiring to you today?
Well, I have to admit, my children. Uh,
Awesome.
my children are my heart. Um, I have three incredibly successful kids. Um, as I always like to tell people, I talked all three of them of not being in the food business. My oldest son, as I had alluded to before, is very big in the real estate business, and in general, he's a businessman. Uh, but he loves food, and he wherever he travels in the world, he'll go to a supermarket and call dad on the phone and say, "Hey, Dad, do you know this product? You should bring it in. You should sell it. You should call him on the phone." Uh, you know, my daughter is a speech pathologist. My youngest son is finishing up his master's in international relations, and he's a security guy. Um, Wants to be in politics and wants to be the president of the United States, but he doesn't just say it like a lot of us did when we were kids. He literally wants to be the president of the United States. Um, and so, yeah, my three children, inspire me every day because one of the things I always tell people is I don't take responsibility or credit for my three children. I just believe that they are who they are. Sure that they have been inspired or been affected by their dad and their moms. Um, but I'm inspired by what they have inside that drives them, and that just gives me complete satisfaction.
Fantastic. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the future. That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, and I have to say the more important thing is that they're all good people, that they're good souls, that they are contributing dramatically to the benefit of our planet, of our cities, of our states. My oldest son just did a thing where he is giving up some very, uh, I guess, expensive real estate to help create the arts in the city of Baltimore. It was just in the Baltimore Magazine, actually. My daughter, of course, she works in with older people in gerontology and nursing homes, helping people heal, come back to themselves, learning how to speak after having strokes. And my youngest, he wants to serve his country in various capacities, and has already served his country. and wants to continue that. So to me,
Good for him.
that to me is just, again, I don't take the credit. I just say that apparently they didn't see anything to dissuade them from their outlook on life,
Well, they're chasing their dream, and that's what's the most important piece.
that they're not cynical.
Yeah, well, that's also true. Yeah, I'll go with that too.
You
Yeah,
know, that'll destroy dreams.
it
Cynicism
will.
destroys dreams. So yeah, that's why that's really, and I know we're going to end right here, but my kids are inspire me every day.
Fantastic. Jeff, this has been an awesome conversation. I've really enjoyed. You've got some really great nuggets of thought in there that people need to consider. That's been fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing. For all of you watching, I encourage you to save the show and come back. Jeff has really given us some very good clues as to what to think about as you're building your business out. Some really good insights. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get notifications every time we drop a new conversation just like this one. So thank you to everyone who joined us today. And a special thank you to you, Jeff, for being with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.